Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Game on Cloud 9 here, and I'm here to bring you guys a Bleach Chapter 546 prediction. Okay, now I want to start off by saying the synopsis of this week's chapter. Now, the chapter, of course, starts off with us seeing the Kurosaki family, throughout a normal day, just living their life. Of course, Ishin acting as if nothing's going on, not even telling his daughters or saying anything or hinting at the fact that he is a Shinigami, even though you can tell that at least Kari knows about Ichigo's Shinigami life, which I'm still waiting for that day that she's going to go ahead and just turn into a Shinigami or something like that, or maybe take up the Quincy powers. We may even get a plot twist later on this arc. Who knows, of maybe seeing all of them go into combat to help Ichigo. That's what I'm hoping at some point that they do that before the series ends, but, hey, a person can dream, a fan can dream. But anyway, we have them actually sitting going throughout their normal day, and you see Yuzu. She's wondering where the heck Ichigo is at. So then from that point on, we go on and we see, I believe we go to Renji and Rukia, and we see them training in the last palace, I believe, of the Zero Division by Ichibe. I believe that's what the guy's name is, Ichibe. Oh, no, yeah, Ichibe. They were training in his palace, getting ready, of course, they're training up. And they also talked about, I believe, the spiritual pressure that they feel in the air, like the reishi is a lot denser up in the Royal Guard palaces. First, they couldn't really move around or breathe that much up there, but now it's become a lot easier, something along those lines, if I remember correctly. And then, of course, from that point on, we even got a flashback finding out about the previous palace they went to by Senju. And if you don't know who Senju is, I'm like, well, I do recommend first off that you read the chapter for yourself. But Senju, of course, is one of the Royal Guard members who has these arms, actually. There's like these special mechanical arms, I believe, that she can use that can lift up different things or kind of sneak around. And, like, I don't know if the exact ability because they never described it, but I'm assuming maybe have some kind of time space ability where it can warp different objects, in her grasp, where she can somehow breach different places with those arms in order to grab different things that she wants. Whatever she wants, she can actually get with those arms. But I know they call her like the Great Woven something. I can't remember exactly what her title is as a Royal Guard member, but I know it has something to do with weaving. But anyway, which actually makes sense because her actual job, or what actually landed her there as a Royal Guard member, was the fact that she created the uniforms that the Shinigami have. So pretty much there was a little comedical scene that we saw in a flashback that Renji had between her and Renji, of her trying to fit Renji, of course, and Renji not wanting to take all his clothes off, and her threatening to cut off Renji's stuff if he did not take off all his clothes. Like, you do not freaking threaten the man's manhood. Like that scene I found a little bit funny. I mean, it wasn't the craziest thing, but I mean it was still a little bit funny. Now, of course, the I think right after from that point, then we saw them training a little bit further. I think that's when we actually saw Ichibe, and from that point on, of course, he caught them after talking for all that time, and from that, I think then they began talking about Byakuya. I think it was Byakuya right after that. Oh no, Byakuya was before that. Before that, I think we had them questioning, or thinking about whether or not Byakuya was alright. Then they got a phone call from Kirenji that Byakuya, of course, he's awakened, he's fine. Byakuya also commented due to the fact that, he's not necessarily, fully rested right now, but he's going to recover pretty soon. He's going to get, back up, get his strength back up again. So they're expecting Byakuya, of course, to go through the rains or go through everything that they went through too and meet them up there eventually. I'm kind of wondering what this monk is actually going to teach them, because the monk, like, I don't know what his actual training methods are, but I'm hoping when Ichigo gets there, he shows them how to use these dual blades. He also shows them how to maybe use some Kido. I already know that they're going to be a lot stronger in terms of their spiritual pressure once they leave, since the spiritual pressure up there is a lot denser. But, I'm hoping that we see something unique, maybe some special Kido spell or something. Byakuya definitely is going to have to train up on his Kido, because since he's not going to have his Bankai, I know Kido is probably the thing that he utilized the most, his Shunpo and Kido. So I'm thinking he's probably going to just be the craziest master of Kido after this. He's going to be freaking starting up the Kido course again after this, hopefully. Well, I don't necessarily want him to start the Kido course, but hopefully he gets that point to where he actually is that good to where if he wanted to, he could do it, because I still want him to have some pretty interesting fights coming up. Now, From that point, I believe then we saw we went to the human world, and I guess Hiyori got some kind of phone call, I believe, from Shinji about how she wants him to go ahead and basically figure out a way to patch up these holes that have been happening in the world of living due to, of course, the imbalance that happens whenever Quincy's destroy these hollows. And I think Miuri tried to fix that before, but apparently I guess it wasn't good enough. So, of course, they went back and forth, argued a little bit from that point on. But, she's going to obviously go ahead and try to do that, and she has her little team. So I'm wondering, kind of questioning whether or not they're actually a part of Soul Society, because it kind of seems that way that they are, but they're kind of like a sideshow team, I guess you could say. Like maybe they, watch over not necessarily watch over Karakura Town, because we already know there's a Shinigami on duty for that, but they have another type of duty, unless Shinji was just asking them as a favor. So I don't know. I kind of want that to be clarified about what the other visors are doing in the human world. Are they a part of Soul Society again, or did they just say no, skip it? Because it's never been explained. But from that point on, I believe we got the last part of the chapter, which deals with Shunsui or Kiraku, the guy with the flower jacket, in case some people don't know. And, he's the captain commander now. He's walking on the street. And, of course, Ichigo's friends, they're talking about Ichigo, wondering where the heck he's been at. They say, we know he hasn't been to boot camp. So they figure he's dealing with Soul Society stuff, which shows the fact that they haven't forgot about him forgot about seeing him like that since the Arrancar War, which is pretty cool that they didn't lose their memory completely. They're not oblivious to his life. So he approaches them and pretty much tells them, yeah, after today, you're going to have to sever your ties with Ichigo. And that was pretty much the cliffhanger at the end of the chapter. Now, how I felt about this chapter, I felt as though this chapter, the way it was handled in terms of pacing, was pretty decent. I mean, the beginning of the chapter, I didn't much care for it, as far as the Kurosaki family. But, that wasn't too long. I think that was maybe about 3 pages. So it didn't, I feel as though the reason why Kubo had them say what they said is because it ties in with his friends. So I feel like the beginning of the chapter did have some importance, because then it questions what Ichigo's role is going to be later on, in the story. Are they going to make him a captain pretty soon, since his family's even missing him? What is he going to choose? Like, I think I've heard King of Lightning go on in his review talking about what Ichigo ultimately is going to choose, and I would have to agree with that statement. What is Ichigo going to choose? I think that's what the main purpose of this week's chapter, kind of gets the readers to start thinking about, what Ichigo's endgame plan is going to be after all this is said and done. Now, I'm kind of wondering, since Ichigo is a substitute Shinigami, if we're going to actually see, that title, that title actually has some meaning to it, and he actually sub in for somebody, like actually take the place of a certain division, or are they going to give him some type of elite squad or something like that? That's what I'm thinking may actually be the case, that after this they may either make him the leader of some squad, maybe Aizen's former squad, or maybe, well, then again, Aizen's former squad, I forgot Shinji's part of that. So they make him a part of another squad, like you're the captain of the squad, or he may have his own elite team, or make a new squad altogether, or he may even have him take over his old squad. But I'm definitely thinking that there, whatever it is, it's probably having to do with a permanent position in Soul Society. Because at this point, I don't see Ichigo becoming the Spirit King, because Spirit King's still around. So I don't think that would be a question that would be raised, or something that Kiraku within his power that he would be able to control. So don't think that's the case. But I'm like, yeah, Ichigo, definitely. That part, the end of the chapter, that's what it mainly got me thinking about. But as far as the pacing, again, in the chapter, the beginning, even though it wasn't something I much cared for, and, maybe it could have been cut down a little bit, but, like maybe a page, they just kind of squeezed all that into a page, maybe had you do questioning, but I don't feel like there's really any rush for that, so that I don't have a big problem with that. And as far as the middle part of the chapter, we got an explanation on the outfits for the Shinigami, and we even got to see one of the Royal Guard members in her palace and her duty, so I feel like that was needed. Whether you really cared about it or not, it was still something that needed explanation. And then the end of the chapter, of course, had a lot of importance as well. And then on top of that, we even found out somewhat of what the duty is of Ichibei, the guy with the beard with the beads, or I think his other name is Eyeball Monk or something like that, that he does the training. So we also know Ichigo is going to really go through some intense training after all this. So it gives you something to look forward to as well. So I thought this chapter had a lot of pluses. I've heard from a few different people that they, I guess this wasn't necessarily the best chapter. I remember I saw Elite Ace's review, and apparently a lot of people on forums didn't like this chapter. But I mean, honestly, I mean, every chapter isn't necessarily going to be the most amazing chapter. I felt like this chapter was a pretty decent chapter, a solid chapter. Didn't really, it didn't shine above all chapters, but it certainly wasn't the worst chapter of Bleach I've ever read. So again, I enjoyed it. And as from a reviewing standpoint, I feel like it was decent in terms of what it was, because it was supposed to, get, at least I think it was to get us thinking about future things that are going to happen later on, in terms of Ichigo's endgame plan. As far as my prediction, as far as what I think is going to happen, in terms of next week's chapter, well, I think that we're probably going to get more of Ichigo. I think the Quincy stuff is done momentarily for now, since it seems like we head back to the Soul Society stuff. So maybe we'll get Ichigo finally heading up to the palace next week. I mean, that seems pretty straightforward. Can't really see why Kubo would really deviate from that, since he's raising questions about Ichigo at the end of the chapter. So I could see them probably primarily focusing once again on Ichigo, since we haven't seen him, I think, in a few chapters since he got his Zanpakuto and gear. And since Rukia and them and Byakuya is awakened, it would just make sense to me for them to focus straight on that line of, okay, Ichigo's heading to the next palace, he's getting fitted, and now he's getting ready to get training and start his intense training with Ichibei, a Royal Guard member. So that's what I think. But you guys can let me know what you think down in the comment section below with your thoughts. I'm even thinking about maybe start doing, instead of doing prediction videos, maybe doing discussion videos where I just do it live stream. Maybe invite a person in here every week. So let me know what you guys think about that. If you guys would like to be involved in that type of way, and we can talk about the chapter together, or if you'd like me to continue forward with the predictions. But again, hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to rate this. If you liked it, put a thumbs up. If you didn't like the chapter, you can put a thumbs down if you want to. Choice is yours. Don't forget to go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content and you would like to see more. So anyway, thank you for watching.